Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys Exquisite Mini Predators, Crucified Predator, and Armored Crucified Predator. So I figured I'd get them done in one review, so you don't have to keep watching a bunch of reviews of almost the same figure. This one has a few differences though. But these are some really good examples of what Hiya can do, so let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 12 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to, let's say, 4 3/4 inches. And as you can see, it's very well detailed. But first, we have to do a question of the day. I'm going to ask the same question I asked in my other Hiya review, because I don't know when I'm uploading these. Which Predator movie is your favorite? For me, it is easily AVP, because I like them fighting Xenos, and I like the armor and everything from that movie. I don't say it's a good movie, but it's the one I enjoy the most. Okay, so differences between these two guys, they're fairly straightforward. The legs are the same, the waist is the same, the torso is not the same. It's almost the same, but they added the fishnet stripper clothes for this one, and the armor obviously, and then we have different heads, the armored head, and then the gauntlets are different. Obviously this one has gauntlets, this one just has the wraps, and this side we have the stripper clothes for the bicep. This arm is going to be the same at the top of the shoulder, or at the top of the bicep and the shoulder. So similar, not the same. I will say they do have the same articulation though, and so we won't have to do it for both of them. This one will be somewhat impeded by the shoulder gear. This one won't, obviously, but that's what we're going to do. Now, as far as the aesthetic goes, let's go ahead and talk about this guy real quick. He does have the blood showing on him. It looks good enough. At this scale, I think it's fine. We do have the shading and the fishnets down here. All the nice detail work all the way down to the feet. The arms and hands are covered in shading and detail work. The head is done really well. I do think the eyes and face still need a wash. Something to make them come to life a little bit more so they don't just look as beady as they are. But the sculpt is there and the paint is definitely good enough. I definitely would prefer, I'll keep doing this example as long as I'm able to, they make them look awesome in their promo shots, and it's mostly because of the shadows cast in that shot, but also they have the shading around the eyes feathered out, and so I think that would help. That would go a long way here, especially since the faces are so light, but still, really excellent looking figure. Paint everywhere. There's more paint on one of these than probably on a whole line of Marvel, or whole wave of Marvel Legends, and these guys are half the size of a Marvel Legends figure, so excellent looking figure. This one, same thing. You can see the fishnet is painted perfectly. I mean, it's exceptionally well done. If you weren't looking at the specific details like the elbow joints and things like that, you could easily, with some trick photography, confuse this for a NECA figure if you put them next to each other. It's really, really well done. The shading, the spots, the coloring, everything is just incredible for this scale. The wash and the weathering on the paint, even the detail for the broken visor. Like, it's so good. They did such an amazing job on these guys. These are perfect examples of what Hiya can do. They really, the Predators are their bread and butter, and they just did an excellent, excellent job. So for both of these guys, I'm going to go 9 out of 10. This one, even closer, like this one probably 9.5. This one would be a 9.5 if it had the weathering around, or the shading around the eyes. But otherwise, they're just about as good as you're going to get. I mean, with a budget, obviously you're always going to have some limitations, but these things are pretty damn good. Now, as far as accessories go, the naked one has the 2 open hands on him in the package, then he gets a fist hand and a gripping hand, and then he also gets the face mask, which is very nicely detailed, and that's very cool, and of course he does have the display stand with the clips. The armored one has the 2 open hands on him in the package, and then he just gets 2 fist hands and a xenomorph skull, which is very nicely detailed, and again, of course, we get the display stand. Not the greatest array of accessories from Hiya, but it's a good enough batch, and I think they're done well enough, so I'll go 7 out of 10. Nothing especially good, but definitely no problems. Alright, now since we're going to do articulation, we'll look at this one because it's a cooler design, I think. Just note that his limitations will not be there for that guy, but essentially these guys do have the same articulation. The blaster is on at least a swivel. I don't know if it's supposed to do any more, but it does swivel, and I think maybe that's all. That's what it looks like, and that's good enough. The head is on a ball peg, and this one feels a little bit stiff. I think that's just because it's stiff. They tend to have better range than this. You know what? Let's check this one and see. Well, maybe for whatever reason, this body has less range. So you're mostly getting rotation. It does look down and up some, but not very much. And I don't know if it's just these two are stuck. But the other ones I just reviewed, the Berserker ones, had really good range in the head. So that's a little bit more limited, but it does look side to side, and you might be able to free up a little bit more range. Now for the shoulders, we'll start on this side. You do get your full rotation, of course. It's a ball hinge. up to the side, but way better than horizontal, no problem there. And you get a bicep swivel, and I have to say they've stepped up their QC. The joints have not been stuck on any of these Predators except for maybe these heads here. Any of the ones I've gotten, I've got like 9 of them recently, and they just, the QC is way better. It's very nicely executed, no problems. And even then, the shoulder pad doesn't really get in the way other than for the full rotation. So that's pretty cool. We do have new design, new engineering for the elbows, much more advanced joint. Now this guy does have the gauntlets, so he's still gonna have fairly limited range. He's only gonna get 90 on this side and just better than 90 on this side. So that's still limited, of course. And you don't get the rotation in the gauntlet on these new joints, on these new arms. The wrists are still on ball pegs. Let's go ahead and look at this guy's elbow range just to see, because he doesn't have the gauntlets. All right. Yeah, you're still only going to get about 90 degrees. It's a decent looking joint, and maybe it's a little bit easier to produce without QC issues, but you do get to see the rivet in there. It's just, you know, your normal. Oh, okay, so it just pegs in. I mean, that's what I figured. I broke it though just now. Okay, so yeah, if you try to force it, it's not going to go any farther, and you'll just unpeg the arm, which is good. It's not fragile. It does come apart because it's a straight peg going in down here and in up here, but be aware that if you do force it, it'll pop off. It's good though. I thought I broke it, and I didn't, so that's cool. Okay, so not great range, but better engineering in terms of QC, so that's all right. Ball peg up here, ball peg down here. A little bit more limited than some of the other releases from them. Not terrible, but pretty limited. You get a little bit of range and obviously rotation, but definitely a lot more limited than the Berserker, or Berserker, whatever the Predator is called, the one with the red on him. Check that review out if you want to see how much more range they have done. These are acceptable. Let's see if this one's any better. Not really, just a little bit going back, I guess. So yeah, they're pretty limited in the torso. It's not bad, but it's not great. Going out to the side for the hips, we are on ball pegs. They're fairly stiff though, better than horizontal. Better than horizontal. Better than 45. That's pretty darn good. I like that. And going forward, yeah, pretty limited. Not going to go all that far forward. That's a bit of a bummer. Going back, not really. You do get a decent thigh swivel in there. That's good. And the knees, wow, the knees function really well. And there's almost no gapping or anything, so that's cool. He is definitely stepping up their game as they go. They are learning as they go and making better decisions. Now, the ankles are still reversed, but we don't have any stuck joints this time, so that's cool. You get the hinge. That works really well, and you get the rotation. But it's still, you should have the joint at the top and then the rotation to get better range of motion. But it's not bad, and we don't have any stuck joints, so that's a good thing. I like that. So articulation on these guys, it could be a lot better, but it is definitely improving. But because the head is limited and the torso is limited, I'm only going to go 7 out of 10. But I think that's fine. At this scale and with higher QC, I'm liking it. They're sculpted really well, they're painted really well for the most part, they have decent accessories, and the articulation is definitely sufficient. So I'm going to give these guys a final, I'll give them a final rating of 8.5 out of 10. The range of motion does hold them back a little bit, but they are pretty damn good. This one especially, it's one of the best looking ones they've released, I think. It's so well executed. I'm very impressed by this guy. So I recommend these guys totally, personally, but obviously the ratings are based more on the technical side of things, so you can consider that when making your decision. I don't think I mentioned it. It is true though, by the way, that the blades over here do extend. So hopefully I don't think I did mention that, but they do extend. Okay, so there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.